Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Unreal Engine 5 Virtua Cop tutorial series. In this series, we will create a classic Virtua Cop game. So, in this tutorial, we will create a system in which our first person character will follow that spline path, and we can move that spline anywhere, and we can increase or decrease the length and rotation of the spline anywhere wherever you want, and the our first person pawn will follow that spline path correctly along with the rotation. And you can also uh, give give the time in which you want your character to complete the total tracking. So let's say if I give it a value in seconds of 3, then it will take total of 3 seconds to complete that tracking. So now you can see it's moving fast. And let's say if I give a value of something like 12 seconds, now it will move slow. So it will follow the track correctly, spline path, and also it will follow the rotation perfectly. So it's the very first step in the Virtua Cop tutorial series, and you can get the project files on my Patreon also. And let's jump into the tutorial. So first of all, that's a third person template project created in Unreal Engine 5.4. And if you run the game, we have our third person character. But as you know, the Virtua Cop is a first person game. So we will create our first person character. And so our first target is to make the first person character, then make it able to move on a predefined path, which can be done through Spline. So for that, let's create a Spline actor. Uh, Create a folder, name Virtua Cop, and in there, let's create a folder name actors, and here we will create a Spline actor BP Spline, or we can say spline path, whatever you want to name it. Let's open it and add spline component in there. That is, so we are done with our spline actor. Let's compile it, save it, and close it. Now we have to create a first person, our character. So first person, okay, let's call it first person BP. And in there, uh, let's choose the pawn class and BP first person pawn. Let's open it. Now what we are going to do is we will make that first person pawn class to follow the spline. First of all, let's drag that spline actor here and double click at that point and increase it. Let's rotate it a little bit and press alt and drag it. So now we have a certain path, and in that path our first person character will and our first person character will track that spline path. So in order to make that first person character to track that spline path, we have to go there and create a variable in which we will store the our that spline reference. Name it spline reference BP spline path which we have created. Okay, and also we need to add camera here, and let's add cube here first. we definitely we don't need cube, and we will hide it in the game. And camera. So okay, and in there we have to make a custom event named event track spline path. And we have to create a timeline track line path. Okay, let's open it and create a flow track. uh, Spline track float. Now we are going to create, let's make its length to 1. Create two keys. It will be 0 to 0, and that will be time 1 and value 1, and auto. And yes, we are good here. Okay. So now we have spline reference here. First of all, we need to uh, drag our first person pawn class here. Like that cube is not necessary. You can delete it if you want. Okay. So in there, let me go back here and category rights. mm, Custom references, or we can call it exposed variables, whatever. So yes, and click that eye icon. Now go back here, click here, exposed variables, and select that spline. Now we have a reference of that spline in our first person pawn class, and now we have to just to apply the logic through which and that pawn first person pawn will start to follow that spline. So okay, there is a node here, and so okay, get a rotation. So, now we need to these two nodes. Actually, we don't need that node. Uh, get distance, get rotation, get yes, that node. So you can simply connect that here also. So that way. So now, and that node will give us the location at particular distance along the spline track, or it will give us the rotation. So it will help us to move our that pawn class on that spline, and it will give us a it will make our character to rotate along the spline rotation. So now that spline should have some length from that's a 0, and that is x length. Maybe it can be 100, 10, 20, 30, whatever it is. So we need to move our pawn class from the length which is 0 to the end point at some distance. So we have to move our class. For that we need it and get Spline. Yes, and we will use a node get length, spline length. Now it will give us the total length of the spline, and that is slurp float. Okay, so we will connect that here. So what it will do is and okay, so it will move our pawn class from point 0 to the length, total length, or through value alpha. It means when the value, so we have created 2 points at 0 and 1. So when the timeline value is 0, our character will be at 0 length. It means it will be at the start of the spline. As the timeline starts to increase, that alpha value will start to move from 0 to 1, and this output value will go from 0 to whatever the spline length is. So as the alpha value starts to increase from 0 to 1, we will start to get a value of uh, from 0 to that total length of some length here. So that will be our distance, and we will connect it there. And now we have to set our vector transform. Okay, so set vector. So that's the location. We will plug it here, and that's the rotation. And now we will connect that here and make it world, both of them. So now the overall logic is whenever we call that event, it will start the timeline, and it will give the value at output from 0 to 1. And we have here the total length here. And so as a alpha value starts to move from 0 to 1, we will start to get a distance from 0 to the full length value, whatever it will be. And we are giving distance at both nodes. So it will give us the location of the spline at that distance, and that node will give us the rotation along the spline at that distance. And we plug both location and rotation here, and that is setting and that update execution pin is setting the actor transform, or you can say actor new location and transform. So as a location starts to change or increase, our character will start to move along the spline path. So they left one thing, so which is if you want to control how much time you want, if you want to set a value, means in how much time you want your pawn class to move takes to complete the spline total spline path. We will have a very small logic here. Let's create a variable here, time to complete in seconds, and it will be float, and it will also be a exposed variable. Okay, So now let's say if we give that variable a value of 5, then this node will finish in 5 seconds. So that's the play rate. It means at what speed you want that timeline node to uh, play. So now it's on you, whatever time you want to give, and in what time you want your first person pawn class to complete the tracking of that supply. So let's click here and let's give a value of 8. So it will take 8 seconds to move our pawn class from that point, initial point, to the end point. So okay, now we have to call that event from event track supply. Event track supply. So yes, I think we are uh, good to go. Now let's test it. Is it working or not? Okay, so I forgot one thing. So by default, the third person character is selected. So I have to change that, and we have to select that character. So go into the world settings, and in that under the default pawn class, we have to select our this one, first person pawn, and after that going back to BP first person pawn and go into the class default and write possess, and it here auto possess player, select player 0, and in the controller let's select player controller. Okay, so now if we play now, if you notice that we are now tracking the spline path correctly, and it took us roughly 8 seconds to complete it. So now if we want to speed up, we can decrease the time. Let's say 3 seconds would be fine. Now, so in this way, you can increase that path anywhere. Okay. And now increase the time to something like 8, and let's play it. So yeah, it's working fine now. So now now we have a system in which our first person pawn will follow the spline path wherever you want it to be. And now in the next tutorial, I think we will create a trigger boxes. So the places at which you want your pawn class, first person pawn class, to stop, and there you want to spawn enemies. And so thank you for watching, and in we'll see you in the next tutorial. Till then, Allah Hafiz.